Hello, Stephen Long here, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Gaston's Great podcast. This week's episode is part one of a two-part recording in an effort to keep each episode a little shorter. Thanks again, and we hope you enjoy it. Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 135 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We have another great returning organization and guest this week as we highlight Bountiful Blessings. We had them on way back on episode number 12 back in July of 2021, which is just, Rodney and I were talking about that a second ago. Man, it's just hard to believe it's already been that long. But we have Dr. Rodney Freeman and Mark Taylor with us today. Rodney is the executive director of the organization, and Mark is a board member and treasurer. And Rodney had some other nickname for him that we're not going to repeat here on air. But Mark and Rodney, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So, I've always like having guests back on, and like Mark is a first timer, even though his other half has been on twice, I think, talking about Gaston Aquatics.
Yes.
But you can check those episodes out as well. But something we like to do at the very beginning, Mark, and I'll start with you. Just before we get into the specifics of Bountiful Blessings, let's just tell us a little bit about yourself. Anything you'd like to share for our listeners?
Well, I'm from Gaston County and went to Ashbrook High School. Big green waver, and
right.
Back in long time ago. I practiced in Gastonia as a dentist for many years, practiced for 27 years. I got involved in Bountiful Blessings a couple of years ago and just loved it. And like you said, my wife and I are now work for Gaston Aquatics, and we love it. It's our passion. And so that's really what I work mainly now is Gaston Aquatics. We do adult learn to swim lessons. We work with first responders, teaching them swim lessons as well. And I work with Rodney in Bountiful Blessings, and it's just something that we really enjoy doing both of those things.
All right, very good. So, Rodney, I'm not sure you need any introduction to anyone in Gaston County or York County, but we'll let you go ahead. Anything you'd like to share for our listeners?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to come back again. And I do want people to know that I do more than feed people. I do have a life outside of that, because it seems to be that around Gastonia, all I'm known as is the Bountiful Blessings guy. But I do have
not with people who work closely with you or on other boards with you. We know. Yes.
Thank you. But yeah, it just Bountiful Blessings has been great, but just other things that just involved with the community. Just want to do help make our community a better place. I really, truly, probably before 24 years ago, I really didn't even have a connection to Gaston County. Born and raised in York County, but once I got to the church and kind of seen where find my place where I fit in at, and kind of jumped in, and it's been a great journey for me. And so I probably got about 8 or 9 more years, man, here, and then I'm going to take it to the sunset.
Right off to the sunset.
Yes,
and just to make sure everybody, I don't think you mentioned it, but it is Mount Zion Restoration Church, correct?
Right, yeah, Mount Zion Restoration Church in 2311 Crescent Lane, over where the old Myrtle School.
Yeah.
I hear about that a lot. So we're right there on that site.
We actually grew up in Linden ARP Church, which is just across Franklin,
right,
on the other side of Myrtle School Road. So, and actually my parents lived in Bessemer City actually when I was born. So we in our offices, right? We have our other offices in West Gastonia. So yeah, we have a real connection, have for our whole lives to West Gastonia. So I appreciate that. So Rodney, let's kick with you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to know a little more information about the history or really detail, I would encourage them to go back to episode 12. But we are going to have some listeners who are hearing this maybe for the first time. They might not be familiar with Bountiful Blessings. But so give us a quick rundown of what is it, the mission, and then we'll get into kind of what has happened over the last few years.
Okay. Well, Bountiful Blessing is a food pantry that's housed, that we get our support from Second Harvest, and Charlotte, which our partners in Food Line, is a major partner as well. And so it's a food pantry that we operate every Thursday from 7:30 to about 10:30, 11. We feed whoever comes up to be a part, and it's just to kind of help to alleviate the hunger within our community. We never had the idea it would get to this capacity, but because of COVID, we kind of, expanded and exploded and became more visible. And so we just there to try to help meet a need and help to alleviate a lot of the burdens of the people that's within the community. And it's been a great success. It's a labor of love, something we thoroughly enjoy doing with that. And so with people like Dr. Mark and so many other volunteers, because we couldn't definitely do it without them. And so it's been a great journey, and it's evolved now into way more than food pantry. We're at a place that we're in partnership with Atrium Health, who comes every Thursday, and from 10 to 4:30, and so we provide health care for those who may be uninsured, have not seen a doctor in a while. So it's a great thing, man. I never had any idea it would be this. I didn't know we were supposed to feed in the community. I knew that, but I didn't have no idea it would be at the capacity that it is right now.
So when did it officially become a food pantry?
It was in August of 2003.
Okay,
that's when it officially became a food pantry. When we first started, and a quick snippet on that. So our first day was on a Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock. We had put flyers out in the community that we was going to have a food pantry at Mount Zion Restoration Church. And so it was at 11 o'clock. I was the only one there. I'm the one working at the food pantry, one-man food pantry. And so at 11 o'clock, I opened the door. There were two ladies standing outside the door. We had 7 cans of food. They looked in the box. They each took 2 cans, left 3 cans in the box, and said, we're going to leave those for somebody else. And that was the day that Bountiful Blessings started.
Wow. So from then to now, wow.
From then to now. Can you believe it?
7 cans of food.
7 cans of food.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm familiar enough with what you've got going on there to understand in 21 years how that has dramatically.
And we just got what numbers? Yeah. What was the numbers?
Oh, the numbers. So this past year from July to July, that's how Second Harvest run their year.
Okay.
And so we given away 2.8 million pounds of food in 12 months.
2.8 million pounds. From 7 cans.
That's 7 cans. The 2.8 million
from
pounds.
A couple
of food.
Pounds to
right
2.8 million
in a calendar year.
In a calendar year. Yeah.
All right, that's hard. Yeah, that's hard for someone like me to visually put that together. How much, but I've been up there, myself a couple times,
right.
and then of course, last time we talked, it was we were 15 months into COVID,
right?
Roughly, and
right.
so I also know that when some dramatic changes happened as well for multiple reasons, but. Mark, maybe go real quick because we know Rodney's story, and how did what brought you to Bountiful Blessings? I mean, you mentioned you were just got involved, but you didn't really kind of tell how did that all happen?
Well, I mean, I'd heard about Bountiful Blessings through my church, but it was always on a Thursday. I could never go. So once I had time to where I was able to go, so I went out. And I said, I want to go check it out and see what it's all about. And I went, and the process, the people, what they were doing, it was so impactful, and I just really enjoyed it. The volunteers are wonderful. Everybody has such a great time. Everybody is really doing it for the right reasons. The people that you're helping, they appreciate it so much. And just the fact that I just don't think people realize that. I think it's very easy for people to say, oh, these people are just going there to get free food. I don't think people understand that a lot of these people are sitting in their cars overnight. They're sitting in this line for hours upon hours. You don't give away that kind of food for 10 or 15 people. We're seeing 3,000 families a week. I mean, this is a lot of people, and so you got to be in your car for a long period of time, hours upon hours, and so you don't do this just so you can just pick up some free food. You're doing this because you really need the food, and you're really seeing the need there, and it was really impactful to really see that. You think about it in an abstract sense, but to really see it there, it really drove home how much people need this, and so once I was involved, I really got into it, and so I started coming. At first, I came a little later, and then I started coming earlier. Then I started coming when we opened, and really got into it. And then once we decided, or once they decided, at that point, I wasn't really as involved to get aboard. Rodney came to me and said, "Would you like to be on board?" I said, "Yes, definitely." I didn't even hesitate. I was like, "Yes, I want to be on the board." And so that point on, I was fully 100%, engaged in the process, and from that point on, I was ready.
It's like the mafia. He just pulled you in.
Yeah, you see good help. You recognize good help, and you realize.
Well, that's a great point.
Well, I was the meat guy, so he's like the meat guy. You got to get the meat guy. So
All right, so let's get right into Rodney. I go to this question for both of you because I know, Mark, you've been involved a good while now. So what has changed, if you can think back to 2021, the last time we talked, to now? I know something. I think after the first time I came, I think I told you, this reminds me, this is the Chick-fil-A drive-through of food pantries.
That's it.
I think that's how I described it to you, my experience, that I was like, wow, I mean, this is so just organized and efficient. And
right. And I've used that since you told me that too. So yeah,
it's a very apt name. Very apt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So from the first time, so probably then we only had one trailer, I think, at that time.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So now we got two trailers, 53-foot reefer trailers that we use now. And then I think then we had only one forklift then. Now we got two forklifts. But back then we had zero electric pallet jacks. Now we got two of those, so that's good. But but probably the biggest thing is that we fed now over 570,000 families.
Wow!
In that since March of 2020 to now, so that's over 570,000 families that we fed. And so with that, it creates because people know now. But one of the things is, as I shared earlier, is about it's caused us to be able to take a look at, okay, what else could we do to help those that are coming out here, and just kind of listening at their concerns. What is it they really needed? So we felt as though the food was the drawing card, but what could we do to also to provide some other services that would really help them and assist them? And that's why we had talked with Atrium for quite some time, and man, they finally came through for us. And so now it's about a month with them. They come every Thursday with the medical, I guess, mobile office. That's what it is.
Right.
And they set up out there from 10 to 4:30, make an appointment, see a doctor. And you can go see there. And what we try to encourage those who have never, because many times people don't have insurance, so They won't go. So at least we want to be able to go, and so they'll be able to go see a doctor. That we also partners with the health department, which will be there to kind of Medicare, Medicaid process, to kind of they out there on the site. So what we've kind of done is partnered and networked with some other community organizations where we saw need. Instead of trying to duplicate, we just asked them would they come along with us and join with us to help this process.
And you've got people, right? Access to them. They're already there, right? They're coming anyway. What else can we? What other need could be? That's such a great question that so many organizations like yours, and they'll ask those that next question, right? What else can we do?
What else can we do?
Have access to.
So we look at it as sort of like a centralized location.
Right.
So we've reached out to like veteran services. They've come out and basically handed out information. So, people come. So one of the problems in a lot of, towns is you got to go over here for this. You got to go over there for that. You got to go over here. Nothing's really centralized. I mean, I think people in towns want to think that things are centralized, but they really aren't. So what we try to do is bring in, we have gyms, we have, health services, we have veterans. We try to have as much as we can come there to hand out stuff, to get people information. Sometimes it's just lack of information for people.
They don't know where to go.
They don't know where to go. They don't know what services are available, and they don't know where to go. So basically, we tell them is like, we're not trying to get you to provide services there. We just want you to give them, let them know what services are available to them, so that way they know what's there. And so that's part of what we're doing. And also if like with Atrium, this is fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, what was the first day?
First day, yep. They saw 12 patients. And listen, so the other site, they came from another site, and the gentleman said the whole time they were at the other site, they never saw 12 people.
Oh, wow.
And he saw 12 people the first day and had 12 appointments already on the book for the next following week. Okay.
Wow.
So it's accessible.
Yeah.
So that's what we're really trying to do, is trying to really go beyond now as our board. Is we're trying to really focus on, one is we're a food pantry, and that's what we're focused on, number one.
Right.
But we're also trying to say, okay, we have this centralized location. We have all these people coming here needing these services. Can we do a little bit more than just providing food? Can we do some other things? And that's one of the things we're trying to do, is reach out to some of these organizations and say, hey, can you just provide somebody here to just hand out things? Can you bring somebody here? And they've been receptive. So we've reached out to different entities, and they brought people, and we've had Jim.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, of course, I've been involved with the community long enough to know some of these organizations, they struggle to get to
right.
their information out sometimes, right? Because it's so splintered. They'll one person at a time works, but gosh, the work required to get those messages and information out when it's one person at a time is just so you can consolidate that.
Right.
That makes a huge difference. Am I remembering correctly? Dummy me, I should have went back and listened to that episode, but I didn't. Wasn't there like a big, just the amount of people served and the kind of the manage that you did? It wasn't 2020, 2021. Wasn't that when there's just a gigantic increase?
It was.
And it was because of COVID, right? I mean, that was when it really. You guys were like, oh my goodness, the number of people showing up just dramatically changed, didn't it?
Right, it did, yeah. And prior to COVID, well, matter of fact, it was the week before that, we saw 300 people. We're seeing 300 people on an average weekly. We were doing it inside the church, and we probably had about 8 or 9 people. And so when county commissioners asked us and said, we're going to kind of get everything to stand still for a couple of weeks due to COVID, could you feed 1,000 people? Well, 4,000 showed up.
Wow.
And we were so unprepared. And it was traffic backed up to 85 and all in the community. And someone called the police on us and say, they got, you can't. And so I'll never forget, the police came up and he was like, you cannot do this without a permit. Do you have a permit? And everybody's just standing there like, who's responsible for this? He is. And I'm like, oh my. It's like, man, you got a permit for this? I'm like, man, I don't have a permit for this. And so at the time, Chief Helton was the chief. Yeah. So I got my phone out, I put it on speaker. I said, Chief Helton, one of you guys over here, man, he's about to arrest me. He's like, what's going on? I said, man, there's cars over here. We feeding people. There's cars everywhere. He said, who is it? And I said, man, your chief wanted to talk to you. And the chief, he told me, man, get out of there, leave him alone. Get out of there. I'll come over there. And sure enough, he sent one of his captains over there. And so I met with them right after that, the next Friday. That was that Thursday, that Friday, I had to go sit down and meet with them. They had them drawn up a plan and everything. And so we've been utilizing that plan ever since then. But it's working. And I have to just say, for us with the community, with that community, they've been patient with us. I'm just be honest with you. I know if that had been anywhere else, man, they'd have run us out of that community.
Yeah, maybe.
Man, it's
maybe.
cars everywhere.
Yeah. I
mean, everywhere. And like Dr. Mark was saying, man, they come. Our first person lines up anywhere between 5:45 to 6 o'clock in the evening. So that's 14 hours.
Wow,
I didn't realize that. Out there all night long.
Yeah.
And so now they got. So next comes probably about 6:30. So there's about 7 or 8 cars that are in the parking lot. I have Bible study on Wednesday night. When I get out at 8 o'clock, there's about 7 or 8 cars lined up in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And so
so from 6 a.m. to till lunch, you just want to avoid that area. Huh?
Yeah, you want to avoid that. Yeah, you don't want to go there. Just stop at Walmart and don't go past Walmart.
I've been over there myself. I think first time was with United Way, and I think something else that happened after we spoke because I was chair of the United Way that year. I remember there was a big story in the news that somebody donated a vehicle, right? Do you remember that?
Did that.
That was like a
did
minivan or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
don't you have other vehicles now as well?
Got other vehicles. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got that minivan, got a box truck, got a 26-foot reefer truck. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a food pantry running a church.
So this is a question, this is going to be for both of you, but I like to ask this question. I asked this before of you, Rodney, but especially in the last 3 years, have you seen something occur, a family that really stands out, or just something, could be just in the last month with Atrium Health, just something that stands out, an anecdotal story you can share that, wow, this is an example of the reason we started this, the reason God called me to say, hey, we're going to feed the community. Does something stand out in the last couple of years that, for me, I bet it would be hard to pick one out because the amount of people you're seeing. But does anything stand out?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the most interesting thing is, so we have a couple of unsheltered. We see people that come through the line that drive, and then we have unsheltered persons that walk up. And so we've had a couple of unsheltered people that we've housed.
Wow.
One of them helped now in another 501c3 entity, Hearts to Home, that we have another board member that started up that now helps to house unsheltered people. And he helps her do that, picking up furniture at people's houses. They've been at our house picking up some furniture that we had. We redecorated some stuff and do that. And another person that was unsheltered helps in the line now. Mm-hmm. And so they've gone from being a person that comes for the pantry,
just benefiting from it, and now they're helping others benefit.
Now helping other people to benefit. So, and we have numerous examples of people that come through the line that are now volunteers and stuff. And so, it's impactful in a lot of ways. And when you see that, that you're making a big impact on people's lives. So, I mean, I think that to me is what's really impactful, is seeing that you really are making a difference in people's lives.
I think the biggest thing out here is always with the senior citizens. So we never think about with the senior citizens. Everybody else can kind of go get a job, get a part-time, they get an increase. Well, the senior citizens, everything, they didn't get that increase. It is what it is. And so that's where, where many of them now come, knowing, I have to come and get this food because this is the way that I eat. I don't get food stamps
until next Thursday.
This is sustain me the next Thursday because I don't get food stamps, anything like that. And just, when COVID did we saw a little relief from it. But one of the things was that a lot of the rent went up for senior citizens. And so when that rent went up, whatever little increase they got, 2%, 3%, 4%, that didn't cover that. And so they had to make some decisions on what they were going to do. And so that's why these people that come early, who I'm telling you about, probably the first person, she's going to be first every week. She has a husband at home on disability. She has a daughter that has cancer that stays with her. And so she leaves them and come over there and get in line because she say they can handle it in the evening, but she has to get home in the morning with them to get prepared. That's why she does what she does. And so it's tough, man. And I know, I used to think, man, a lot of times, well, they taking it, but I realize that, if we stop tomorrow, and that's one of the things Rick Warren always say, if you quit, would your community miss you? And I believe that if we stop tomorrow,
no question.
It'll be a trickle-down effect through the whole county.
No, there's no question about it. I mean, what was the number you mentioned, Mark? 3,000 families?
3,000 families.
A week?
A week.
Yes, a week. 3,000 a week. I mean, the numbers are
that's
almost
significant,
mind-boggling.
right?
I mean, when you put the numbers together, 2.8 million pounds annually of food, 3,000 families weekly. Families, not people, families. So you got to multiply that by whatever the
Number
average
of people,
whatever it is in America. So that's 6,000 whatever people that you're a week, and that's just in this one little part of the United States. You got to think of all of the United States, So I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. Yeah.
All right, going from 2003 to now, and then Mark, your time on the board and being involved, something stand out that or have you already mentioned it? Something else you're most proud of accomplishing with the organization, or is it just the growth? Is it that you're still here, or is it just that you get to talk to me today?
Yeah, that's the number one thing, I get to talk to you. But I think the biggest thing probably that really it ain't even about the food to me. It's about the community that comes together every Thursday from all different walks of life that wouldn't have ever. I wouldn't have never known a Mark Taylor if it had not been for Bountiful Blessings.
Right.
I wouldn't have never known a Kathy Young. I wouldn't have never got to meet none of those people if it had not. So to me, what Bountiful Blessing does, it helps to bring us together to really know one another as the true community.
Yeah, something that the couple times I've been out there, two things struck me. It was the diversity of the people being served and the diversity of the people serving.
Right.
Right. It
Right.
wasn't just your church members.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
It was a broad spectrum of people from the community.
Absolutely.
What
that's
about
the thing with me? What I look at it, and to be honest, probably 90% of the people out there don't even go to our church.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just the way where the real community is.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would add something to this. I think in this day and age of contentiousness and the way people are nowadays, and I think if you would do something, I'm not saying Bountiful Blessings, but if you would do something like this, if you just kind of go out and be involved in an activity like this, Habitat for Humanity or Bountiful Blessings or something like this, I think you would have a different, outlook about things and maybe not be so, mad about things and unhappy, and really see that, being involved in this and being involved with people like this, it's a very, it's a great environment to be in, and I think that you also can see that, there are people out there that really do need help. It's not that there's all these people sitting there just trying to live off the system or trying to, take advantage of people, and that the people that are really helping, there's a lot of really great people out there. And I think that, nowadays, I think we've lost sight a lot of that. And I think that, being involved in, Bountiful Blessings for me has been just wonderful and kind of getting outside that bubble of just everybody just being like, mad at each other.
Mike's, something that I talked about, matter of fact, I don't know if it was last week or the episode we recorded the week before, but I can't remember the discussion, but we was brief about that exact topic, right? This divisiveness.
Right.
But what I encourage people to do, judge your own interaction that you're having day to day locally.
Yeah.
Because I don't experience that locally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha.
If I read the headlines all the time, you would think that
Wow.
we shouldn't even be talking to each other, Rodney.
That's right. That's right.
But my own interactions day to day. Now I'm also intentionally involved with things, in the community. So I am intentionally around some people that have such a heart for our community. So maybe I'm sheltered from some of that, but I just think in general, even even here at our company, the thousands of customers we interact with every month. We don't see that either.
Yeah.
We just don't. I mean, and there's that percentage of customers that we have that are going to take advantage of our goodwill. There's going to be percentages of people in the community that are going to take advantage of your goodwill. Well, you can't worry about, don't let that affect the other 95%.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that
need it,
many
right?
people. It's not that many. Turn off the news.
Yeah, don't.
Get out of the house. Go meet some people. Get involved with some stuff, and you'll be much happier.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with that. So what, looking ahead, I know last time you were on, one of the big things, if you went back and listened to that episode, one of the big things we talked about was you were at the time looking for maybe a facility, another building or something. Is that something you're still working on, or is this top secret and we can't talk about it, man?
We can talk about this right here. We're excited, man. So
okay.
Hopefully here in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll be doing something here. So we purchased some property. We thought we were going to utilize that. We didn't, so we're kind of using that for parking. So we had some trailers on our property that we've used for Sunday school rooms, and I probably bought them about 5 times with the lease on it. But we got rid of those, and so that particular area. And so we're dealing with a contractor locally here now, getting some plans and things together. But we're going to build a facility to be able to put these services in and really to bring all the other community partners that we got and house it, so it'll be a one-stop shop. as Dr. Mark was saying, you come here, you get your food, you pull over there, you can see a doctor, you can come over here and see, someone in Gaston College if you want to go back to school. You can come over here if you need a job. We've got a staffing company right here. And if you need to look at Medicare and Medicaid, they go to health departments over here. And so we just want to house all of this in one area, one-stop shop. And so we raised some funds on that and doing well.
Okay, good.
Doing well, man. So we've had some great partners in the community to help us out with that. So just kind of waiting on with the company locally just kind of give us a final number as to what it's going to be. And hey, I'm going to put it out there in the community like, hey, can you help us close this gap?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because I think we're at a great place with the resources and just excited about it. Really excited about it. Sometimes you kind of look at those things, like you say, 3 years ago, we was talking about this building, but it changed totally, man. It was right across the street from us. And
Gotcha.
we were able to get that and purchase that property. And so things are going well. We're excited about it.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode, which was part 1 of a 2-part recording. Please tune back in next week to hear the second part. Thanks again, and please continue to spread the word about the Gaston's Great podcast.